Hello, everybody. My guest today is Gil Ayal. He is the CEO and founder of Hyper, the world's largest influencer search and discovery directory. He founded it in 2013, and the company now offers brands and marketers in-depth audience analytics for over 10 million influencers across major social channels. He's really revolutionized the way that many of the world's biggest agencies and brands are running influencer marketing by focus on the same data analytics and audience demographic information relevant to any other form of marketing. The company boasts a client base of over 100 of the Fortune 500 brands, as well as the biggest advertising and PR agencies in the world. Gil, are you ready to take us to the top?
Hey, great to meet you, Nathan.
You're excited. You're giggly either because you've had a lot of coffee or you're just excited to see me. Which one is it?
It's a little bit of both. It's 4 p.m. over here, so I've had probably 6 or 7 cups of coffee already.
All right, so I think people are when they hear influencer marketing, there is definitely preconceived notions, right? So how do people know you're the real deal, kind of not like those people that are, social media consulting companies?
Yeah, I think the biggest misunderstanding is between fame and influence. And I think most of the people in the industry don't even understand it. There's a really big difference between being famous and being influential. I'll give you the example. Alicia Keys, the face of BlackBerry, she's famous. A lot of people heard about it, but they don't necessarily respect her opinion about which smartphone should they be using. You take a channel like Unbox Therapy, the guy talks about phones, talks about digital all the time. He's the face, or he's not the face, but he talks about Samsung, whatever next phone they have. People respect his opinion. He's influential. He might not be as big as she is, but he's really influential, and people look at him to make a decision. You should think about it the same way as you look at decisions in your life. If you want to choose which movie to go to, you're going to ask a friend that's influential that, in your opinion, about what movies are good. You're not going to ask a famous actor which movie to do it. So influencer marketing, there's a very, very fine difference between those two. That's easy to overlook because it's tempting to go after people who have really, really big audiences and just hope that they perform.
Yep. Okay, so how do you get rich? What's the business model?
How do I get rich, or how do the influencers?
How's it? Well, actually, give me both, but what's the business model first?
So the business model for Hyper is that we have a subscription fee. We have a database of about 10 million influential people. We track about 1 billion social accounts on a weekly basis to see what they're talking about, who they're following, and what topics are the ones that they engage with, in order to understand in real time who online are the micro people, not the really big, not the Kim Kardashians of the world, but who are the small people who are influential in every niche. So if you're trying to sell a product in the beauty space, you want to make sure that you're talking to an audience that is interested in beauty. You're not going to want to hire a bikini model on Instagram. Yeah, she has a big audience. Yeah, she's female. She has a pretty face. But probably most of her audience is men. And our system allows you to find the ones that actually have the right audience. The second component is the real time. If you want to sell to women who want to get pregnant, if you miss by 6 months, meaning if they were talking about getting pregnant 6 months ago, they're not interested in your products anymore. They're not buying strollers or pacifiers or whatever it is that you're trying to sell. So it's all about understanding who's really influential at that point.
And Gil, real quick, who's paying you? Is it the influencer or the brand?
So we have no connection to influencers at all. We made a decision to only work with brands and agencies so that we can always be on one side. We'll never, ever be a suspect of, oh, you recommended this influencer because they pay you. Influencers cannot log into our platforms. They cannot access their own data.
So you don't have any marketplace issues. You didn't have to build both sides.
Yeah, and as a former product manager, I know what compromises that requires. As a product manager, if you have 2 clients, they're never always going to need the same product, right? Yep. So one of them is going to want to see certain things, another one going to want exactly the opposite. And brands want to pay the least, and influencers want to make the most. It doesn't really work together. We decided we only work with the brands.
So how are those brands paying? Is it per campaign? Is it a SaaS model? What is it?
Completely a SaaS model. They pay us an annual. 95% of our clients have annual or longer contracts.
What is the size of that on average, would you say? First year contract usually?
So there's a big variety. They vary between $20,000 a year up to about $500,000 a year.
Okay, wow. Okay, that's a huge variety. And what drives that variety? Is it literally how many impressions they want from this influencers you bring to them, or what?
So we don't bring the influencers. It's a discovery tool that allows them to reach out to as many influencers as they want, but it's limited based on different characteristics that they want for their particular product. If they're an agency and they want to co-brand it or white label it, there's an additional fee. If they use an API, there's an additional fee based on how many searches and how many results they want. If they want to reach out to 1,000 influencers as opposed to 10, obviously it's a different package.
So you have a few different levers that allow you to drive expansion revenue. One, it's just the pure feature set. What do you want to turn on and off? The second is number of kind of people in our database will expose you to that you can make then a choice on. And I mean, do you have a seat model as well or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have an office, if you have a firm that has multiple offices, typically buy one subscription and then additional seats for each office, which comes out to less than buying separate subscriptions to each one.
Okay. Give us more of the backstory here. Now that we get the business and the customers, when did you launch this thing?
So I launched this about 4.5 years ago. Before that, I was working at a company called Mobley. It was a photo and video sharing platform before Instagram. And the strategy that I had was, let me get a lot of celebrities on this thing, and they'll create content, and then their audience is going to come, which sounds like it makes a lot of sense, but it didn't work the way that I wanted it to work, even though I was able to get
so why wouldn't you Instagram? What did they see that you didn't?
Well, here's what happened. So we got celebrity investors like Leonardo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire, Serena Williams.
How much did they put in?
Sorry, what?
How much did they put in?
A lot of money. And,
like millions?
Millions of dollars.
Okay.
And we had, in addition to them, we also had about 200 deals with different celebrities, but they weren't driving the kind of traffic that we wanted. As a marketer at heart, I realized I wasn't reaching the right demographic for this product. I was trying to sell the 14, 15-year-old teenagers with celebrities that appeal to a very, very, very wide variety of an audience. And I realized I would never advertise in a magazine without asking who reads this magazine. I would never advertise on a TV show without knowing who watches it. Why would I work with a big celebrity without knowing who their audience is? So I decided to build this tool that can break down the audiences based on demographics, psychographic data. And what I realized was that I was paying a lot to get 200 celebrities on my platform, and 90% of their audience was never the audience I was trying to reach. And that's a big issue. That's what led to the birth of Hyper, because I realized everybody's going to be wanting to activate these smaller influencers, these social media stars. And if they don't know who the audience is and what they're interested in, a lot of money is going to go to waste.
So how much have you raised to date?
We raised about $8 million so far.
And why did you decide to go that route when in your first company you raised from celebrities, it didn't pan out so well?
I think the issue with raising with celebrities was that it created a lot of attention to the company at a stage where it wasn't ready for it. We were driving, we built an app. We were a bunch of people who built an app and didn't expect to get 20 million downloads over a 3 or 4 month period. And we couldn't handle it. The app was crashing. It wasn't good enough. Instagram had popped up. There were better alternatives. So the publicity that comes with these big celebrities is great, but it was the wrong audience that wasn't staying on the app, and it was too much for us to handle as a company. We decided to go traditional venture capital route with Hyper because we didn't think it would benefit from a relationship to celebrities. We didn't want to be associated with the influencer. We wanted to be associated with the professional brand and agency side.
And what are you at today in terms of total customers using you?
We have about 200 customers today.
Okay.
Primarily Fortune 500 brands and big agencies.
Yeah, you mentioned in the intro, I think you said 100 of the Fortune 500, right?
Yeah, 100 Fortune 500 and then about 100 agencies.
100 what?
Agencies.
Agencies. Got it. Interesting. And what's your team size today?
We have 35 people in total, 11 in Israel and 24 in the US.
Are you ex-Israeli defense?
I am, but not the traditional way. I was a computer crimes investigator.
Wow.
Which sounds really exciting for people who saw the net and all these kind of movies. But that was back in 1999. Computer crimes weren't as sophisticated as you might think.
Come on. Don't ruin it for me. Your cool factor just went down. All right. Okay, good. That's helpful to understand. Help me to understand how you're landing these customers. These are I imagine high touch, high kind of contract value kind of customers.
Yeah. So we all come from, everybody in my company comes from a background of growth hacking. And the first thing we did is we built this crawler that looks on all social media platforms and sees who's running influencer marketing campaigns. Then we evaluate the campaign and we send them a free report. And the report will say, not, oh, you suck. It'll be, listen, great campaign. Here are some things that we could have helped you do better. And that has a tremendously effective conversion rate.
Because you're giving them value. You're giving them value immediately.
Yeah, and look, even if they're not the right client for us, at least they become a champion because they say, okay, I know what I can do next time to do it better. So it's been a very effective channel for us. We have a small sales team of 5 people that will follow up once somebody's received the report and expressed interest in exploring working with us.
So take those 5, plus all your other tech dedicated to getting the sale, plus any direct paid spend you get. What do you assume kind of fully weighted CAC is?
Cost of acquisition for a customer? Oh,
Yeah.
I know exactly what it is. It's around $20,000.
And why do you say that with such confidence? Is that something you look at every day?
Yeah, we look at it every day. We're a venture capital funded company. We have to do reports. We're very, very
You secretly
organized.
like reports, I can tell.
That I like them or I don't like them.
You love them. You're a
It really
report
depends
lover.
on what they say. I mean, if they say I'm doing well, I love them.
Well, you can find answers to anything you want to match what you think in data. You just have to look hard enough.
So long as you're in charge of asking the questions, the report will be fine.
As long as you're in charge of the data, where the data is coming from, right?
Exactly.
Right. And what do you like to optimize for in terms of payback period?
So we currently have about an 8-month payback period.
That's
I
healthy.
think that's great. I don't think that's going to be sustainable long term, but we'd like to keep it under a year. Typically, our contracts are annual, so we'd like to at least recover cost, and we have a very good return ratio. So we start making money on the second year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so if you're spending 20 grand on CAC and your payback is 8 months, that means your average kind of first year contract is what, about 25, 30 grand?
Slightly more than 30, yeah.
A little more than 30 grand. And then what do you know? I mean, it's a small cohort of 200 customers, but it's obviously high volume or obviously high value. Do you know predictably what you're going to drive expansion revenue from between year 1 and year 2 and year 2 to year 3?
Yeah, we see it. We see it in 2 channels. I mean, one is the kind of the land and expand. So a lot of the brands that work with us will then bring in their umbrella brand. So if we work with, say, one of the P&G companies, or we work with one of the Shiseido companies, then they'll introduce us to the umbrella, and they'll get a package for the entire deal. That's brought us clients. It started at the 20,000 package, and now we're paying, close to 200,000 or sometimes more. The other one is just new customers. I mean, 200 is really a drop in the bucket compared to where this market could go. We think influencer marketing is the next big thing. And we see tens of thousands of companies participating in it. Not all of them can afford our price, but we want to eventually offer smaller country-related packages or location-related packages that are more affordable. So there's growth on the new customer side as well.
And we're running out of time here, Gil, but what do you assume lifetime value is on these guys?
We expect, for projections, we take 3 years, but based on current retention, we expect about 6 to 7 years.
6 to 7 years. And what is that in terms of a money figure?
Yeah, it's about $150,000 to $200,000.
Okay, in terms of value. Okay, so you mentioned that you had some contract values that are like 500 grand annually. Those are really outliers. You're more kind of in the range.
1 or 2. Yeah.
1 or 2. Okay. So have you broken the $10 million ARR mark yet? Or are you going to hit that this year, you think?
Almost. So close.
Do you think you got 30 days left in the year? You think you're going to break it?
No, we won't do it this year. We'll do it this year, yeah.
You'll have to come back on. Okay, so is it fair to say you're doing between 9 and 10 right now?
Let's not say specifics.
8 and 9?
Yeah. We're close. All
right. That's fair enough. Okay, good. And then churn. Are you losing customers?
So on a logo basis, every once in a while you lose customers. The biggest thing is how did you qualify them when you got them? We find that when we lose customers, a lot of times it's because they no longer spend on influencer marketing, or the person who was our champion left, which is why we decided to focus on these bigger customers, these away from the SMBs and into the enterprise. On a dollar per basis, every single quarter is a negative churn, meaning we get more dollars from the remaining customers than we lost. But we will lose a logo every once in a while.
Yep.
We have there's a learning curve. As a young company, this product's been around for about 1.5 years. It's still we make mistakes sometimes and bring on customers that aren't the right fit.
Yep. And then can you give us a sense of growth? So like today, you're doing call between 630 and 750-ish in MRR. What were you at the same period last year?
About 15% of that.
You were at 15% of that total number? Oh my God. So you've like 5-6x.
Yep.
That's incredible. What would you credit the number one thing? I mean, is same customers, but more wallet share or more customers or what?
No, I think it's a combination of a few things. I mean, it's a higher sale price because the product's much better. It's a better product, so we can sell it to a better type of client, and it's an expansion within the clients. So many of our clients now, came in at the smallest package, now pay 3 to 5 times as much as they did.
Incredible.
And it's a lot easier to sell a client, somebody who's already a champion of your product, than a new one.
Yeah, I want to make sure I got this right, just to make sure I'm not going crazy here. You were doing about 100 grand a year ago. Now you're doing over 600 grand each month. That's great. Okay, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
Buzz Marketing. It's a little old. Mark Hughes.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Elon Musk, but who isn't?
Yeah. All right. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool besides your own?
I love HubSpot. It's a great tool. It's how we do all of our outreach. Killer.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I get about 4 because I have a 20-month-old and a 6-year-old.
Oh, man.
And a company. So
holy mackerel. So married,
yeah.
2 kids?
Married, 2 kids. Yeah.
And how old?
20-month-old and 6-year-old.
Sorry, how old are you?
Oh, I'm 40 years old.
I was going to say, you're not 20. You're not 20 months old. All right, last question, Gil. Take us back 20 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
So I spent 10 years working as a corporate lawyer. People don't really know that. So if I had 2 pieces of advice to that 20-year-old is, one is you don't have to stay a lawyer just because people want you to, or it's this golden cage. You can go do what you love. And 2 would be lay off the hair gel.
There you guys have it from Gil. You don't have to stay a lawyer just because everyone wants you to do it, and he would have used a little less hair gel. But listen, something's working. He's eating something for breakfast. It's working, because just a year ago his company was doing $100,000 a month in recurring revenue. Now almost, hopefully breaking 9-10 million in ARR here shortly, helping 200 brands and 100 of the Fortune 500 companies do it at scale, influencer marketing. But he's avoided, which I think is genius, avoided the marketplace problem. He's just serving up the data set, letting them choose. Launched in 2013, raised $8 million with his team of about 35 people in Israel and New York City. Economics Look Healthy. Gil, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thanks for having me.